What's up guys, this is Anime Crossover. I'm back with the last episode of What If Naruto Was the Legendary Silver Fox the End. And if you did enjoy this video, give this video a like, and if you're new to my channel and like our content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions with a twist. Now let's begin this new video.
26th chapter. Definitely this time. Lee. What do you think? Guy inquired. I don't care, Lee said, stunning his staff. What are you saying, Lee? A perplexed Guy inquired. I don't care if I'm the last one standing, Lee said, crossing his arms. Well, I'm suddenly lost, a perplexed Neji said when the electronic board abruptly ceased working. Rock Lee versus Gara, it was successful, it was successful. I knew if I pretended I didn't care, I'd get picked, exclaimed Lee. Good job, Lee, Guy-sensei, exclaimed Lee, as they both smiled and gave a palms up. Tenten stomped towards the two, Neji firmly planting his feet to the ground with his tails burying his ninja ken swords into the stand, acting as a secondary anchor as he tried and failed miserably as she made him skid while fuming furiously at the two spandex-wearing duo. Tenten, please control yourself. Tenten inwardly chanted, kill, 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 with flames in her irises. Lee leapt from the platform, Tenten recovering some sanity while hanging onto the railing and Neji panting hard like he just completed sprinting from one of Guy's trainings. I'm certainly gonna feel this tomorrow, Neji thought, his sore muscles shaking. Lee, remember what we talked about? Gara appeared in a flurry of sand, standing in front of Lee with his arms crossed. Beware of that gourd of his. Certainly, sensei, and he's just finding this out now, mused Neji, his coyote ears quivering in irritation. Are you okay, Neji? Guy inquired. I'd be fine if it weren't for your harebrained remarks, screamed Neji. That youthful spirit, Neji, let it burn brightly, exclaimed Guy, causing everyone to perspire. Well, can't say I didn't attempt to save his life, Neji said, looking to his side and seeing an angry Tenten with the railing groaning under her weight, which Neji was confident would collapse at any moment. Down in the stadium, Gara and Lee continued to stare each other down. Let us have a splendid match, Lee said, taking an attacking posture after catching something in his hand. Don't be so eager to start our match, Lee chuckled as he let go of the item in his palm. You should be more concerned with yourself, Gara said, his sand drifting around him. What do you think, Shizuka? Gara wondered. It appears she needs one more push, Shizuka laughed uneasily inside Gara's mind. Let those youth flames burn, Lee, screamed Guy, such as that. Lee looked at Gara, puzzled, when he was abruptly engulfed in a ball of sand, the sound of metal moaning intensifying. Tenten and the handrail both broke when she abruptly seized Guy and hurled him towards Lee, knocking them both down. Tenten took out two bundles of scrolls and opened them as a barrage of large boulders appeared in midair as they dropped to the ground, Guy and Lee screaming as large boulders nearly squished them flat at every turn, Tenten releasing more and more boulders. Die, die, die. So, do you think they'll survive? Neji inquired, as everyone shrugged as the boulder bombardment came to a halt. Lee and Guy were breathing heavily when they heard a hissing sound as Guy rested against a rock. Lee and Guy turned around to see that each boulder was coated in paper bombs, ready to explode as they resumed their run. Ah, boom boom, Hokage-sama, shouldn't something be done? Do you want to interfere with an enraged Kunoichi raining down bombed boulders? Hayate questioned, inhaling a whiff of his pipe. Boom, not really, an apprehensive Hayate replied. Alright, now move, Sarutobi said as he did several hand seals, earth-style, mud wall. When a boulder nearby erupted, scattering smaller rock fragments everywhere, Sarutobi spat out a wad of mud and abruptly elevated high up into a hardened wall. After the detonation, the mud wall collapsed, leaving the stadium looking like a war zone, with smaller boulders and rocks everywhere and a battered Guy and Lee with bumps and bruises, bleeding nostrils, extremities bending the wrong way, and some rock lodged in their body. Tenten was breathing heavily in the stands after venting her rage on her partner and sensei. Proctor, it appears that my opponent is incapacitated, Gara said, his sand returning to the container. Yeah, I need a medic, or a coroner, Hayate said through his earpiece. What exactly do you mean, a coroner? Good lord, what happened in here? Screamed Yuna as she entered the stadium. I'm not sure how to explain it, Hokage-sama, only to find Sarutobi chatting to Anko, who was wearing a visor with a pencil behind one of her fox ears and jotting something on a clipboard with another pencil. Let's see, Subtract for no longer holding the record, but you did win on the latest Kakashi vs Guy Weird Challenges pool. Add the fact that you won the pool for which of Guy's students would snap. Subtract Kurenai-chan's winnings for betting half and half from the total pool, minus my 10% fee and whistle. That's not bad, Anko said as Sarutobi signed some papers. It's a pleasure doing business, Sarutobi said, shaking Anko's hand. What? Everyone exclaimed as they stared at Sarutobi, some even sweating. Anko is my bookmaker. How else am I going to keep track of my winnings? Up on the platform, sign here, here, and here, Anko said as Kurenai signed several pieces of paper. Pleasure doing business. And pleasure somewhere else, Anko said as she smacked Kurenai's buttocks, causing Kurenai to blush. Anko-chan. Not like I haven't seen anything before, Anko said as she came to a halt in front of Kakashi. By the way, you lost the pool twice in a row and you owe me. Anko said as she flipped through papers in her clipboard. 5,000 ryo, Anko said, causing Kakashi to drop his book. That can't be right. Oh, you're right, I did make a mistake, Anko said, turning through several pages again, making Kakashi exhale in relief. It's actually 5 million ryo. That's almost a high-class mission. I don't have that kind of money, exclaimed Kakashi. Then I guess I'll get some insurance, Anko said, picking up Kakashi's book from the floor with her tail, because these little things fetch a pretty penny since you bought the collector's edition. You have a week to get my money before I sell it, Anko said as she walked away before he could dispute, softly flicking her free tail in front of Naruto and giving him a seductive wink that made him flush. That's my vixen, Naruto laughed. Well, then, I guess Gara is the winner now that Lee is out of commission. Hayate scratched his face as his wife and her medical team carried Lee and Guy to the medical section. That's not fair, he didn't even have to do anything, Konkuro grumbled. Wham, stop whining and act your age, Tamari slapped Konkuro on the back of the skull. On to the next game. The board began scrolling through names again when it abruptly halted. Neji Hyuga vs Hinata Hyuga, not even a moment's respite, groaned Neji as he jumped down from the platform. Best wishes, Angelheim. Thank you, Naruto-kun, Hinata laughed as she kissed him on the mouth. Let's have a good match, Neji Nissan, Hinata said as she jumped down from the platform confronting her cousin. Before we begin, Hinata-sama, I'd like to ask if you could please give up, Neji stunned everyone. Why? Hinata-sama, you're far too sensitive. I've seen you spar, and I can tell you keep Hinata-sama at bay. Please quit up now. I'm not sure if it's fate or not, but I don't want to force you into this, Neji said. Thank you, Neji Nissan, but I must refuse, Hinata said gently as she smiled at Neji. I used to be terrified of fighting, but not any longer. I found someone who gave me the courage and confidence to grow stronger, and because of him, I will show you that I'm no longer afraid, said a confident Hinata, taking a gentle fist stance. I see, then perhaps you wouldn't mind if we just used our gentle fist instead of our weapons? Neji inquired. Not at all, Hinata said, summoning her water bow and tossing it up to Naruto, while Neji hurled his ninja Ken swords at Tenten with stars in her eyes. Tenten, don't even think about it, yelled Neji, making Tenten groan while puffing out her cheeks like a little girl, making Hinata laugh at their antics. Ready, begin. Hinata and Neji collided, each hitting their chakra spots with their gentle fist. Both fighters traded blows, with Neji observing Hinata's dancing-like movements. Hinata effectively struck several chakra points in Neji's arms, causing him to leap back in reaction as he examined his arm with his Byakugan. I see. I'd like to congratulate you, Hinata-sama. You were successful in closing several chakra points on my arm, Neji said, holding up his arm with several wound scars exactly where his chakra points were. However, it appears that I retain the upper hand. Hinata panted, several marks on her arms indicating closed chakra spots, her Byakugan active, while gazing at Neji. Pant, I'm not finished. I'm not going down without a fight. I'm going to keep going no matter what. Pant. Hinata lunged at Neji, deflecting his attacks while striking him with her own force. Neji felt Hinata shut several chakra spots, so he increased the speed of his strikes, striking Hinata in a variety of locations. Hinata resumed her attack, surprising Neji several times with her fluid movements. Her motions have become more fluid than the normal gentle fist. Hinata-sama's attacks appear to have improved as well. I'll have to take her more seriously, Neji thought as he went on the attack, striking several critical chakra points in her limbs and legs, impeding her motions as they separated. Please, Hinata-sama, it's pointless. Clearly, I have the upper hand while you continue to be struck. I'll ask again. Please resign from this match, Neji said. No, Hinata said, launching herself at Neji again, with Neji easily dodging her attacks until he abruptly strikes at her spine, causing her to collapse. I told you Hinata-sama that arg. When did she? Neji thought as he looked at Hinata slowly getting back into her battle stance on wobbly legs. To think she was able to hit me on those spots without me noticing even with my Byakugan active. But how? Thought Neji when he noticed a faint tint of green concentrated in Hinata's hands and chakra. Neji abruptly recalled Hinata having some medicinal expertise on plants and herbs as well as medicinal ninjutsu when she was nursing Lee in the Forest of Death. Looks like Hinata put those medical scrolls one gave her to good use, Kakashi said, gazing at the battle between Hinata and Neji. I should probably thank you, Kurenai, for lending me Haku so I could give Hinata some pointers. Well, it gave me an excuse to see my friend, and Hinata did say she wanted to learn medical ninjutsu. However, Haku is the one you should truly thank, Kurenai said, as Haku blushed as Sasuke embraced her from behind as she settled in her mate's warm embrace. It was really nothing more than a couple of pointers. I've always wondered what it would be like to have a pupil like Zabuza did with me and my brothers, Haku chuckled. However, we owe you one for assisting Hinata in realizing her dream. After all, she's like a sister to me, and it was nice seeing you and Sakura when you both visited, said Sasuke lowly growling pleasantly, with Haku giggling at his action. Well, if you really want to thank me, then I can think of several ways later on, said Haku in a sultry whisper, making Sasuke blush at her response. Have you forgotten about us? Now why would I leave you girls out? Asked Ino, with Sakura next to her, when Sasuke abruptly grabbed them and hugged them close, with Haku in the center. Well, now, I just thought of more interesting ways for you to pay me back, Haku. Sakura laughed, and Ino blushed at her remark. And I got to see 3 of my Heims together, so that's a win-win for me, Naruto said, beaming and intertwining one of his tails with one of Kurenai's tails as she reddened at the unexpected contact. If only we were in a more private room to ourselves, I would embrace him. Sigh. Unfortunately, I have to be a sensei first, Kurenai reflected, Asuma still gazing at the two. As he went into his gentle fist stance, Neji struggled to get up, leaning more towards his good limb. Neji and Hinata were breathing heavily as they looked at each other. It appears that the next strike will decide, Neji-Nisan. Pant. So it would seem Hinata-sama had this kind of power all along, Neji said, and yet she continues to surprise me. I'll show you, Neji-Nisan, that fate has no say over who you are. I'll show you that if you work hard enough, even a loser can become powerful. I've never seen such a determined expression in her eyes before, Neji thought as water began to swirl in her hands and a powerful resolve in her eyes shocked Hinata once more. Hinata-heim, you can do it. Never, ever stop up. Remember, we made a pledge together, and we never break it. This is our ninja way, Naruto exclaimed, urging Hinata. I recall Naruto-kun. How could I forget? Hinata wondered, beaming. Flashback. Phew, man. That was a workout, Naruto said as he leaned against a tree post in Training Ground 7 with Hinata and Kira by his side. Pant, I could use a shower right now, Hinata admitted. No kidding, Kira sighed, massaging her achy joints. Groan. I'm definitely going to feel this tomorrow, groaned Sasuke, with Haku and Sakura seated beside him in fatigue, unable to say anything. I must admit, you people are getting better. I think I'll have to start using my Sharingan in our sparring sessions soon, a proud Kakashi said after defeating Sasuke, Haku, and Sakura. There have also been too many near calls. I suppose I might have to purchase a heater because of Haku, a worried Kakashi pondered. Well, I think I'm getting the hang of my new demonic chakra now. My genjutsu had never been more efficient. It took a while, but I'm finally getting used to it, Kurenai said, flexing her talons and toying with a tiny blue fireball. I'll go with Roseheim. Your genjutsu is quite frightening when used against an opponent. I know I'd hate to be on the receiving end of that, Naruto laughed. However, you guys did catch me off guard several times, so keep training to become stronger, Kurenai chuckled. Chuckle, I'm never going to stop. Not until I gain strength. When I'm strong enough to protect everyone who is precious to me, Naruto said, carefully raising his fist into the air with a determined expression in his eyes, then I'll definitely become Hokage. Until then, I'll work hard to become powerful in order to defend everyone. Until we bring peace to everyone, Kira said, placing her hand on Naruto's. Until I change clans, Hinata said, placing her palm on top of Kira's. Until I rebuild the Uchiha name, Sasuke said as he steadily raised his hand in the air. Until I prove myself as a true kunoichi, Sakura said, her palm resting on top of Sasuke's. Until I can protect everything I love, Haku said, resting her hand on Sakura's. We'll never give up until that day. We will continue to grow in strength until all of our goals are realized. That is our guarantee, and we never break it. This is our Nindo, Naruto exclaimed, our ninja way, as a soft wind began to blow, making Kurenai and Kakashi pleased of their pupils. Our ninja way, Kurenai mumbled as she ran her hand through her tresses. Flashback comes to an end. Our Nindo, our ninja method, they say. It definitely has a pleasant sound to it, Kurenai thought as she glanced at her companion, a small grin on her lips. He just keeps making me fall more in love with him every day. Giggle, that day, Kurenai-chan told me. Hearing that tale reminded me of how badly I wanted to be with him. It makes me wish I could be there with them, but business is work, I suppose. Of course, the fact that he let me ride him to my heart's content and made me shriek his name innumerable times makes up for it, mentally giggled Anko, her tail swaying in delight, causing Yugo to sweat. There she goes again. She's off to her own universe. Is this all his doing? Neji was overcome by the scene in front of him as Hinata continued to show a strong resolve when he glanced up at the stand towards Naruto. Is he the one who urged Hinata-sama to grow? Is this how strong their connection is? If so, can I? Neji pondered as he glanced at Tenten, who had a worried expression in her eyes as she clutched his twin ninja Ken swords close to her bosom, making Neji blush as he returned his gaze to Hinata. Alright, Hinata-sama. Show me how strong you've become. Neji focused all of his chakra into his limbs, with electricity whirling in one hand and several fragments of rock swirling in the other, charging each other. What exactly do I believe in? Is it true that destiny determines our fate? Or can I? Neji's thoughts were cut short when he felt his chakra abruptly stop, causing the two elements whirling around his hands to come to a halt, with Hinata still charging straight with water twirling in her hands. Hinata's hand touched Neji's heart, and Neji's hand touched Hinata's heart as well. The water whirling around Hinata's hands abruptly came to a halt before she collided with Neji, Hinata groaning in pain and Neji gasping in astonishment. I'm not going to give up. I refuse. T2. Hinata stammered, losing awareness. Hinata-heim! Screamed Naruto, leaping from the ledge and catching Hinata before she struck the ground, with Neji kneeling from his injuries, and Naruto-kun, stammered Hinata, struggling to stay aware. It's okay, Hinata-heim, you can rest now. You fought well, and for that I'm proud of you, Naruto said, carefully setting Hinata down as she fell asleep with a tiny grin on her face. Because Hinata Hyuga is unable to fight, Neji Hyuga is the winner, Hayate declared as he summoned the medical team. I was defeated. Her attack would have made impact if she had just held on a little longer, but she... Neji pondered as he replayed Hinata's last attack in her mind. I paused. To genuinely sense Hinata-sama's conviction in her attack. Neji noticed the medical team carrying Hinata away, with a concerned Naruto gazing at her as several medical ninja repaired the torn muscles Hinata caused. Naruto and Neji were walking up the steps to the stand when Neji stopped him and said, Naruto, wait. When you see Hinata-sama, tell her that the true winner of this battle was her, Naruto said as he turned around. Also, inform her that she battled like any true Hyuga would, Neji said as he walked by. Are you okay, Neji? Naruto asked as she gave back his twin ninja Ken swords to Tenten. Yes, but the person who should really be here isn't me. Hinata-sama is the true victor in our fight, said Neji, as Tenten looked at him with concern. Neji? Don't worry, Tenten, I'll be fine, Neji assured him. When you say that, I can't help but fret, Tenten thought, blushing slightly at how much she sounded like a worried wife with her spouse. I'll go check on her, as well as Kira-chan. I have to make sure Sume didn't also mutilate Kiba, Kurenai said. I'll accompany you, Roseheim. Hold it, Kakashi said, grabbing Naruto by the back of his trench coat. You have to stay here because you won your match, just in case something else happens. Come on, Kakashi-sensei, they're my friends. It is a husband's responsibility to ensure that his women are safe, contended Naruto, only to be met with a tired look from Kakashi. But Naruto knew he was serious, groaned, fine, you win this time, Kakashi-sensei, but the next time I don't mind if the old man himself tells me to stay put. I'll go see my spouses if they're in pain, and I'd like to see anyone who tries to stop me. Tell them I'll see them both once Kurenai is done. Will do, Naruto-kun. Kurenai winked as they intertwined tails before departing. Unbeknownst to them, Asuma vanished in a puff of vapor that only Shikamaru observed. Now, where do you think he's going? Oh well, that's not my issue. I'm just hoping he doesn't do anything stupid. Asuma-sensei may be indolent at times, but he always ends up in major difficulty. Hallway, Kurenai, please wait, Asuma said. What do you want, Asuma? Sighs. All I want to do is talk. What are you talking about? How do you intend to reintroduce me? How do you feel terrible about what happened? How have you changed? Forget it, Asuma, Kurenai said as he walked away. Yeah. So, how about you? I thought you despised perverts, but you're betrothed to a child and living in a colony. Kurenai abruptly whirled around, calling her Rose Dagger, and the blade expanded, grazing Asuma's face. Kurenai swung her wrist, causing the blade to move, which would have cut Asuma in two if he hadn't ducked at the last second, severing his cigarette. Never call Naruto-kun a kid, again, growled Kurenai in a low, authoritative accent. I may be a member of a harem, but Naruto-kun treats me as an individual. He genuinely cares about me. He understands how to make me smile, how to make me feel secure, and how to make me feel cherished. Even before I was betrothed to him, Naruto-kun knew more about me than you did, even though I was always keeping an eye out for him in the background. How is that possible? How could he know about you if you were always hiding from him? An angry Asuma wondered. Can you tell me, Asuma, what my favorite meal is? How does that relate to anything? Answer the question, Kurenai said, still staring at Asuma. Sweets, since you're always eating with Enko in front of that sweets place, Asuma said, still perplexed as to what Kurenai was up to. How come I'm not wearing my Jonin vest? Of course, because it clashes with your outfit, Asuma explained as Kurenai continued to stare at him with menacing eyes. Can you tell me what Anko-chan used to call me? Ice Queen. I think, an apprehensive Asuma said. Still the same conceited Asuma. You haven't changed at all, an angry Kurenai said as he walked away from him. So you're upset because I correctly answered your questions? How does that make me selfish? Humph, my favorite meal is takawasa with sake or vodka, and unlike Enko-chan, I never had much a sweet tooth. I don't wear my Jonin vest because it limits my motions, particularly when using genjutsu. I couldn't give a damn about fashion declarations. Also, Enko-chan never referred to me as Ice Queen, but you and everyone else did. Because of my lipstick and irises, Enko-chan used to nickname me, Benny. I told you all of this on several of our so-called dates, if you can call them that, Kurenai said. I've taken you to nice places, but that doesn't explain how Naruto knew more about you than I did. I'm not sure how, but Naruto-kun always knew when I was watching him as a child. Naruto-kun went out and purchased the most costly vodka container he could afford in disguise after his first successful change. He bundled it and placed it on an exposed windowsill.
Despite this, he never touched it. When I went to go explore, on the tag it said, "Thank you for looking over me, Benny." He knew I liked alcohol before you did, and he referred to me as Anko-chan even though everyone else dubbed me Ice Queen. He didn't even know my name back then, but he knew I was always wearing red. Explain to me how a small child knew more about me than you, who was supposed to be my boyfriend at the time, Kurenai growled, making Asuma flinch.
In addition, every date we've ever gone on has been to places that only you liked. You didn't even attempt to inquire as to what I desired or where I desired to go. You brought me to some useless establishment where you could smoke even after I begged you to stop smoking in front of me. Every time you kissed me, I felt like I was kissing an ash receptacle. Also, you didn't even try to protect me while every man was staring at me like I was a piece of meat. Instead of talking to me, you continued boasting to others about how you bagged the Ice Queen. You always left messes at my apartment, you never cleaned up after yourself, you always made my apartment scent like a chimney sweep, and you were always attempting to get me into bed with you rather than spending time with me. Yeah. So, what about Naruto? I'm sure that ramen stand isn't the most romantic spot either, Asuma countered. Our first date was in Wave Country, not Ichiraku. While the bridge was being built, Naruto-kun leased a restaurant and prepared everything for us. He served me one of the best wines he could locate, as well as several other delicacies that fit our individual preferences. He transformed the entire eatery into a candlelight supper. Naruto-kun was a total gentleman throughout our time together. He even complimented all of us even when we were dressed casually. He even requested dance classes from Tsunami just so he could tango with us. He wasn't attempting to get into my trousers like you were. He just wanted to have fun with us and make us happy, Kurenai recalled of her first date with Naruto, Hinata, and Kira. What about the remaining dates? He's not precisely well liked by the general public. What exactly are you attempting to prove, Asuma? That you are superior to Naruto-kun because you are normal, because you aren't handled the same way he is? Kurenai inquired, staring at him as he flinched again, her ears flat, indicating her anger. Nothing irritates me more than arrogant men like you attempting to look good by comparing yourself to Naruto-kun. Do you believe you're the only man who's done that to me? Naruto-kun treats us with love and respect, and he always tries to put all of his vixen's happiness ahead of his, Kurenai said as she turned around to continue walking to the medical wing. But you already know I'm correct. He can't take you to any of the places you like, Asuma explained. Kurenai came to a halt, her back to Asuma, and said, even if you were, I would still choose Naruto-kun over anyone else. I once wished to take Naruto-kun and the other vixens to one of my favorite eateries. When I asked him this, he seemed hesitant at first, but he consented with a grin, saying that if it made me happy, he would do it. When we arrived inside, the service was slow. When the server arrived, he purposefully disregarded Naruto-kun in order to brag about how ripped he was. It irritated me to no end, and I could tell the other females felt the same way. We requested another server, and when he arrived, we ordered our dinner. Everyone except Naruto-kun was served when the meal arrived. We wished to wait for him to dine with us, but he refused and insisted on eating alone. After a while, we completed our meal and his food still hadn't arrived, but he told us it was fine because he was pleased that his vixens had a good time. He wouldn't let us pay because he insisted on paying for all of our dinners. When he did, I noticed he was being charged 3 times the usual menu amount. I was about to complain when he just stopped me and smiled, paying that price, Kurenai said, his voice sad. I realized right then and there that Naruto-kun was willing to face the villagers' hatred and scorn just so he could take us out anywhere we wanted to eat. He wished to have fun with us, to make us grin despite what happened to him. I was ashamed of myself because I was so pleased to have encountered someone who genuinely cares about me that I forgot about how the villagers handled him. I felt like I was being selfish and harsh to him because I went over to repent. But he cut me off before I could finish. All he said was that he was willing to bear that burden as long as the villagers did not harm me or his friends, and that one day he would show himself deserving of the villagers. Even if he didn't, he'd be content as long as he knows we're content, and that's all he'll ever need. He was ready to go through hell for my happiness. He wanted me to believe that he could take me anywhere like any other relationship, even if it meant being mocked. I've never had anyone handle me so well or make me feel so cherished. I promised myself that I would be more mindful of Naruto-kun's predicament and a better lover to him. That's why I'll always choose Naruto-kun, Kurenai explained. It sounds more like a schoolgirl crush to me. He's probably too stupid to know how to treat a woman properly, Asuma retorted. Says the man who was too stupid to notice I was a virgin when we were dating and decided to have an affair behind my back. Naruto-kun didn't even have to try to get me to sleep. I gladly gave it to him even though he said we didn't have to, and I'd do it again in a moment. I must say he is quite the lover in bed and still has enough energy for the other girls, Kurenai replied as she continued to walk, leaving Asuma stunned when he realized Kurenai was hobbling slightly. No way. Is the child that good? Asuma was taken aback. Naruto-kun was a beast last time, groan. Aspirin is beginning to wear off, and the pain is returning. My, Naruto-kun. You really know how to make a lady feel good, Kurenai thought as pleasant chills ran down her spine and her tails fluttered in response. I wonder if I could take a short break when I visit Kira-chan and Hinata-chan? Arena groaned, did the aspirin wear off? Anko asked Yugo, who nodded. Rough night with Sasuke, eh? Anko inquired, observing Yugo's features getting red behind her disguise. Yeah. I'm starting to feel it from Naruto-koi, Anko joyfully exhaled. I wonder what our honeymoon will be like if this is them now. Splat Anko noticed some blood slipping out from beneath Yugo's mask when she started to sway, causing Anko to panic. Oi, I didn't mean for you to overdo it, said Anko holding Yugo up as her legs gave out, with Yugo's genjutsu fading in and out a couple of times, causing some of Yugo's squad members to sweat drop at scene. Seems like one of your Anbu enjoys the benefits of having an animalistic lover, snickered Hikari, causing Sarutobi to groan in response, reminds me of my wedding week. Sarutobi's perspiration fell as he debated what the young Raikage meant by wedding week, or whether he even wished to know what he meant. Asuma reappeared behind Shikamaru in the stands when he realized one of his pupils was absent. Where's Choji? He lost to that sound mummy guy. The two cloud ninja from that catgirl's squad wound up battling each other, resulting in a tie, and I triumphed against my opponent. Growl, what? Shikamaru exclaimed as he observed Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Haku, and Ino quietly staring and growling at him. You didn't have to make Kin hit her own head, you know, Sasuke growled quietly. My command was shot, and I didn't want to use my lance, okay. Aside from that, as I previously stated, a ninja must always be mindful of their circumstances. Troublesome, Shikamaru grumbled. Anyway, Tenten and the Sand Lady are currently battling. What concerns me is the unusual amount of opponents who remain. I'm not sure what will transpire. On that, I can agree, Haku said, noting that only Sakura, Ino, and herself remained to fight. There's no way Kurenai could be attracted to this kid, Asuma said to Naruto as the rest of the group stared down at the struggle. When Asuma spotted Tenten high in the air with numerous cuts and bruises and losing awareness, he jolted out of his trance. What exactly occurred here? Didn't she put Guy and Lee out with hurtling boulders? Asuma looked down at the arena and noticed various explosion marks and weapons scattered around, but there was one spot that was untouched that was surrounded by a blonde kunoichi with a sand headband around her neck while holding a giant fan, a wind user. Well, that could certainly counter flying weapons and projectiles, Asuma thought as he noticed Neji standing on the railing as he vanished from view. Kids fast. I suppose I should have expected that from Guy's pupils. You're done, Tamari said, shutting her fan and slamming it down where Tenten would fall when she noticed a foot on top of her fan. Temari glanced up to see Neji standing there with a comatose Tenten bridal style in his arms, staring at her. That's enough. You've clearly won this fight, so there's no need to continue. Neji leapt down from Temari's fan as he passed her over to a group of medical ninja who were walking in with Yuna, who were examining her vital signs. Temari, exclaimed Hayate, we will now proceed to the final round. Because there are an odd number of contenders, the victor of this battle will face the additional contender directly following this match, Hayate declared, shocking Sasuke, Sakura, Ino, and Haku. So, who won this match? Must battle. The additional contender. Without a moment's relaxation, pondered Sasuke, Sakura, Ino, and Haku all at once. Don't you think that's a little unfair? Can't we at least give them a 5-minute break? Asked Sasuke, attempting to protect his friends. When facing an opponent in a ninja battle, you may have to fight immediately after defeating that opponent. Although it may appear unjust, this is the truth for all ninja. Anything is fair in a ninja battle, and your opponent will not give you a 5-minute break if they see you are weakening, Hayate stated. Alright, let's get started. The board began to shuffle through names again as Sasuke silently growled at Hayate's explanation. Knowing he was correct when Sakura, Ino, and Haku embraced him, we'll be fine, Sasuke-kun. It was nice of you to try, Ino said. Ino Yamanaka versus Sakura Haruno. Sakura and Ino exchanged glances, with Sakura removing her trench coat and handing it to Sasuke. Good luck. To both of you, a concerned Sasuke said, unsure what to do or say. Thank you, Sasuke-kun, both ladies said as they leapt down from the stand. I'm so perplexed, mentally whined Sasuke, weeping waterfall tears and surrounded by a melancholy atmosphere. There, I'd be in the same boat if it happened to me, Naruto said, patting Sasuke on the back and supporting a massive sweat drop. Can't help but feel sorry for the poor guy. Both of his friends are competing for a place in the final, and he has no idea who to root for, reflected Naruto. Sakura and Ino exchanged stares, each determined to outdo the other. Begin. Sakura and Ino rushed at each other, each pulling out a kunai and locking blades, each attempting to overwhelm the other. It appears that this showdown has been brewing somewhere along the line. Yeah, and I'm not going to lose, Ino stated. Neither am I, Ino, Sakura said as both girls released their kunai and leapt back, charging at each other again. Genjutsu, Petals of Destruction. Sakura executed several hand seals as cherry blooms began to whirl around her. Sakura vanished from Ino's sight when she was encircled by a whirlwind of cherry blossom petals that closed in on her and began slicing at Ino. Ino attempted to nullify the genjutsu, but with the petals slicing at her, Ino found it difficult to concentrate her chakra when Sakura emerged behind Ino in a crouching position. You're done, Ino. Sakura thought as she made an upward diagonal slice when Ino abruptly vanished from Sakura's view. Sakura felt weight on her shoulders and looked up to see Ino gazing down at her, her body perfectly vertical. "Nice try, Sakura, but not good enough," grinned Ino as she abruptly propelled herself high into the air while spinning. Sakura then observed that some medical bandages were beginning to emerge from Ino, spinning around her in a perfect spiral as Ino elegantly landed in a crouching position and the bandages slowly dropped after her. Ino seized one end of the bandages and wrapped it around the handle of the kunai in her palm before pulling out a second kunai and deftly twirling it as she threaded the other end of the bandages through the ring at the base and skillfully tying it taut. Ino made some space for herself as she began twirling one end of her improvised weapon with the other kunai in her palm. "What is she up to?" I informed her she couldn't practice in. "Do you really think she'll listen, Asuma-sensei? Ino can be quite stubborn when it comes to certain things, but she feels that this weapon is ideal for her," Shikamaru interjected, bored. "Ino may not be the strongest of us all, but she is unquestionably the most nimble. A kusarigama that has been modified to act more like a whip, with a bladed tip that is light enough to be wielded easily while remaining sharp enough to penetrate skin. However, this has some drawbacks because those bandages aren't precisely optimal with a kunai at the end. Not to mention that the handle would have to be guarded to suit more of Ino's style," Sasuke explained. "Right again, but this also disadvantages Sakura because her fighting style favors close-quarter combat. This will become more trouble than it's worth," Shikamaru predicted. "All Ino has to do to win is use her jutsu. Using a weapon would only impede her progress," Asuma said, letting out a puff of smoke. "You're mistaken. Asuma-sensei. I can tell Ino and Sakura both have something they want to show to themselves. They both want to grow in strength so that they can proudly proclaim themselves to be kunoichi. I wouldn't rule them out just yet," Sasuke said. Sakura rushed at Ino, avoiding her improvised kusarigama as she did several hand seals, while several other clones emerged next, fading in and out in a whirlwind of cherry blossoms. Ino drew back on her handle, recalling her kusarigama, cartwheeling to her side, avoiding Sakura's kunai attack with the bladed whip end striking the clone in the back, causing it to vanish in a whirlwind of petals. Ino began performing acrobatics, parrying Sakura's and her clone's attacks with the handle while hitting with the other end of her kusarigama, which was twirling around her like a ribbon. After Ino dispatched the clones, the real Sakura matched Ino blow for blow, pulling out a second kunai and parrying both ends of Ino's weapon. Sakura blocked the whipped end of the kusarigama as she locked blades with Ino's handle again, punching Ino with her free hand, but Ino grabbed Sakura's approaching fist, causing her to use both hands. Sakura and Ino head-butted each other, growling in defiance until both females separated and jumped back. Ino twisted the ribbon in a precise circle as she crouched down with her free hand, catching the other end of her kusarigama and launching it at Sakura. Sakura dropped her second kunai as she reached for the frayed end of Ino's weapon, about to sever the ribbon. When Ino noticed this, she rapidly flicked her wrist several times, creating several spiral ripples in the ribbon before yanking on it and winding it around Sakura's wrists. "Where did she learn to use a weapon like that?" Asuma inquired. "I gave her some books," Shikamaru yawned. "Shikamaru?" A stunned Asuma inquired. "I saw that Ino was serious about learning how to use a weapon like that, so I assisted her in locating some books that would be useful to her. After that, she would practice by herself after each assignment, attempting to develop her own style. These are her final results," Shikamaru said. "Foolish girl," muttered Asuma as he ran his hand through his locks. "It appears to me that you need to have a little more faith in your students, Asuma," Kakashi said quietly. "You never know when they'll catch you off guard." Sakura fought against her restraints, attempting to liberate herself, when Ino swiftly pierced the floor with the handle, forming an oval-shaped hand sign with her pinky and ring finger facing up. "Sorry Sakura, but I win. Mental transfer jutsu." "Sorry Sakura, I hope you can pardon me," Ino thought as he collapsed alongside Sakura. "Proctor, I'd like to," said Ino in Sakura's body, only to be cut off when she sensed Sakura fighting back in her consciousness. Ino was abruptly bombarded with recollections of them as children, starting the Ninja Academy, competing for Sasuke's love, redemption after Sakura's episode with Naruto, and their time together. I would. Like T2. Ino said again, attempting to make Sakura relinquish when she remembered the vow she made that day when Naruto and Sasuke proclaimed their own Nindo, to become strong. Ino mentally repeated when she was abruptly pushed out of Sakura's body. When she saw Sakura moaning about her headache, Ino returned to her own form. But I'm not going to give up. To become stronger, muttered Ino, but Sakura plainly heard her. That was the promise we made as children. That day, I gave you my ribbon. And you kept it. Ino, Sakura said when Ino began to smile at her, if that's the case, then I'll also make a promise. I'll get stronger as well, powerful enough that when I knock down my opponent, they'll know it was Ino Yamanaka who put them down. Sakura grinned in response to Ino's declaration. Oh yeah, well, first you have to get past me, Ino. Come on Sakura. Ino and Sakura rushed at each other, flaring their chakras, oblivious to the glowing flowers that began to develop in their chakras. Amazing. It appears that we will be witnessing the birth of 2 new weapons, exclaimed Shizuka inside Gara, confusing him with her remark. Sakura and Ino exchanged combat cries until their fists collided, causing a large shockwave. I will never surrender, shouted both girls as pink cherry blossom petals surrounded Sakura and purple flower petals surrounded Ino. When both females leapt back, their chakra blossoms collided and surrounded their respective owners. Sakura's chakra petals created armored gauntlets with pink cherry blossom petals around Sakura's arms and knee-length armored sabatons that looked high-heeled boots with branch patterns that still had pink cherry blossom flowers on it. Ino's chakra blossoms whirled around her, forming a long green handle with a curved guard and a large, purple, curved sword with a jagged point near the end that covered the guard as well. The remaining blooms began to shape what appeared to be a long green vine with thorns protruding until it terminated with a purple, curved, scorpion-tipped sword. The remaining blossoms swirled around Ino's legs, creating armored sabatons with vine-like swirls and purple rose designs. Well, this is new, grumbled Sarutobi. Talk about deja vu, Anko exclaimed, her twin shuttle blades at her side. What in the world happened? What kind of jutsu is that? Asuma was taken aback. It's not a jutsu, Kakashi said, unsurprised by what he had just observed. What is it if it isn't a jutsu? Asuma inquired. Is this like that time with Kurenai-sensei? Sakura wondered as she examined her gauntlets. Consider it a manifestation of their desire. A strong desire that materializes the thing that will motivate you to achieve that desire, Naruto stated. I'm not sure what happened, but I'm not complaining. Although it will be difficult to grasp due to the thorns, Ino said as the thorns abruptly retreated where Ino stretched out to contact the plant. Ino was taken aback by her new weapon, which allowed her to move her hand easily through the vine while the thorns retracted and came out whenever she moved her hand, as if she knew exactly where her hand was at all times. Ino was appreciating her new weapon's capabilities when she began flaunting her legs and exclaimed, "Neat." Sakura examined her new gauntlets, unsure what they performed. Sakura noticed Ino twirling her weapon, becoming acclimated to it, as Sakura glanced disheartened at her gauntlets. She seized a discarded kunai and it snapped in half under her grasp, intending to catch Ino off guard. Sakura was stunned by what had happened and took up another, only for it to break in half again. Sakura had an epiphany when she chose to punch the ground, causing a huge dust cloud that drew everyone's attention. Well, this just got interesting, Sakura said as the dust cloud subsided, gazing at a large crater with a spider web fracture in the center and her fist still touching the ground. How about we call it a day, Sakura? Come on, Ino. Sakura and Ino began moving at high speeds, their sabatons colliding in midair. Sakura grabbed the approaching blade of Ino's scorpion-tipped Kusarigama, yanking hard on the vine drawing Ino towards her. When Ino noticed that the thorns on her vine weren't penetrating Sakura's gauntlets, she grasped as much vine as she could to allow herself some mobility to shift her handle blade without colliding with Sakura's other fist. I see, so the gauntlets increase Sakura's strength, whereas Ino's Kusarigama is the best weapon for her skills. Both of their sabatons also improve Sakura's and Ino's speed and agility, Sasuke said as he watched the fight between his two friends when he suddenly received a melancholy aura all over him, causing everyone around him to sweat. Yet I'm at a loss for what to do. There, Sasuke-kun, Haku patted his head gently. Sakura and Ino continued to fight, each showing signs of exhaustion as they panted furiously. Sakura charged at Ino, who was spinning again and forming a semicircle behind her. Ino hurled her scorpion tail again, making several circles, with Sakura grasping the blade and becoming entangled in the vine. Sakura drew her free hand back, and Ino mimicked her action as weaponry collided once more, both girls igniting their chakra as they head-butted once more, producing a large shockwave that nearly rocked the entire stadium. Both sisters stood on wobbly legs, refusing to budge an inch. Sigh, it appears that they overdid it. Hey Hayate, cancel the fight, Enko said as he stepped off the platform. What are you talking about, Enko? Hayate inquired. Ino, Sakura, shouted Sasuke as he jumped down from the platform, followed by Haku. Enko stretched out to Ino and Sakura, gently separating them, revealing that both girls were unconscious while still standing, refusing to give up. I've got to hand it to them. They're desperate to prove they're tough enough to be ninja. This match has been declared a draw. As a result, Haku Momochi advances by necessity, Hayate declared. You both fought admirably, Sasuke said as he tenderly held Sakura and Ino, who began to noticeably ease under his warmth. I'm proud of both of you. My wonderful flowers, Sasuke said quietly, with Ino and Sakura flushing. Yuna entered, carrying both girls to the medical wing, with Sasuke and Naruto close behind, when Kakashi suddenly grabbed both boys by the back of their trench coats. You two need to stick around a little longer, said Kakashi, as both boys began arguing loudly as Kakashi dragged them towards everyone else. Congratulations to everyone who advanced to the next round. The third and final part of the chunin exam will be a one-on-one tournament 1 month from now, Sarutobi announced, looking at the winners with Sasuke and Naruto being hoisted up by Kakashi with a bored look on his face while both boys looked like they were sitting in a lotus position in mid-air while glaring at Kakashi, promising him pain and suffering. The reason for the lengthy delay is that everyone here has seen your techniques, so you've got a month to refine them and make new ones. We'll draw lots to see which spot you get, Sarutobi said, as Ibiki went around with a box, taking a ball for each player, with Kakashi getting one for Kira because she was still in the medical wing. Say your number out loud so we can record it on the board, Ibiki instructed. 1, Neji said, looking at his ball. 4, Gara said. 6, Shikamaru said. 7, Tamari said. 3, Dosu said. 8, Shino said. 9, Kankuro said. 2, Naruto said. 5, Sasuke said. 11, Kakashi said. 10, Haku said. First match between Neji Hyuga vs Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, Dosu Kinuta vs Gara, Sasuke Uchiha vs Shikamaru Nara, Temari vs Shino Aburame, and Kankuro vs Haku Momochi, with the winner of the previous match battling against Kira Yoko, Ibiki said after writing down the final name on the board. That's the schedule, so we'll see you in a month. All of you train hard to honor your village, Sarutobi said as he walked out, followed by Hikari, as each ninja began to plot how they would spend their month of training. The medical wing Kurenai lay down in bed between Kira and Hinata, who were both sleeping comfortably, their ears moving every now and then. I feel like I'm missing something, but what? Kurenai wondered. Kiba's quarters, learn from this, brat. I told you better than to use those damn words, so I'm gonna make sure your tongue is squeaky clean. Also, until you learn to respect your partner more, I will train you until you can't stand. Can you hear me? Sume screamed while washing Kiba's lips with detergent. You'll be damn lucky if I don't decide to castrate you now. Kiba's only reaction was a series of gargling noises. I did warn him that his arrogance was going to get him in trouble one of these days, Hana muttered, Akamaru whimpering in agreement. She still goes a little too far, Kuromaru muttered. The vixen's room, oh well, I'm sure it's nothing essential, Kurenai thought as she fell slumber, grabbing the blanket with her tails and covering herself and the other two females. Hallway Yuna was nervously pacing back and forth with her wolf features on display until Hayate strolled out of the stadium, causing her to jump her spouse. It's about time you showed up, Yuna exclaimed, pressing her husband against the wall and making Hayate fearful of his wife. Why Yuna, what? Don't be concerned, Hayate-kun. Everything is going to feel wonderful, Yuna said in a low sultry voice, a ravenous predator expression in her eyes, as she opened the door to an unoccupied room, pushed her husband in, and closed the door shut behind her. Screams and moans could be heard emanating from a particular room for the next few hours. The end.
That's the end for the story, guys. Thanks for listening to this video. If you did enjoy this sort of story, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for your help and support, and have a great day.